We gotta let people in. All right. Susan, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Suzanne?
Yes, can you hear me? Hi, can you hear me?
I can't hear her. I think I can invite all. No? I can't see. Susan, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Oh, here we go. Hold on. What? Got it. How about now?
Can you hear me? I
Yes.
can. Okay, great. I can hear you.
Can you check YouTube for me? Make sure that that's working.
Sure.
John, can you twist that just a little bit towards me? I'm gonna move it just. Good. Perfect. Perfect. We're good? Okay.
Hi, Mike. YouTube is fine.
All right. Sorry for the delay, everyone. It's always fun to try to remember how to do things every single week. I'm going to call this Board of Finance meeting for October 1st, 2025 at the North Stonington Education Center for our Zoom meeting for the Board of Finance. I'm Mike Anderson. I'm the chairman. Here with Dan Smith, vice chair, Carl Johnston, Gary Nino, Sarah Nelson, Amy Friend, and Lou Gingerella. And we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. On to agenda item number 3, public comments. Yes. Sean Murphy, treasurer.
I just wanted to take a few minutes to offer a little praise for some of our staff at Town Hall and here at the central office at the school. We have some of the best folks that we've had in a long time staffing the positions of the admin finance officer, the accounting generalist here at the school, Mariella, the bookkeeper, and Kathy Trummel, our business manager. So when Melissa came to the town. Things were very, very behind at town hall. It took a lot of catching up to catch up with the fiscal year that we were in at the time. There was paper everywhere, but she managed to pull it together and get us ready for an audit. Since then, she's kept up on a regular basis with all her reports, with all her entries, all her reports, and all the reconciliations. Suzanne has been engulfed in getting us more up to standard as far as HR things at the town hall, and also has been quite involved with IT because of our loss of having our own IT person. Here at the central office, Mariella has done a fantastic job as bookkeeper. She's very efficient with the convoluted software that she has to deal with on a daily basis. But the work she does at getting correct vouchers to me and getting, for me to get the funds transferred, she's very instrumental in the central office to keeping things up to date. Kathy Trummel walked into a mess. Many things were not being done. It's a lot of work for one person. It's a lot of work for one person being new to town government, especially. But it was fixing one thing after another, whether it be the accounting system that she uses and making proper entries in there, down to the activity funds and getting them sorted out, and devising some reporting that she puts out to both the Board of Ed and the Board of Finance. I am concerned after listening to the last Board of Finance meeting at some of the comments that were made. Not that the Board of Finance shouldn't be, critical of reports that are presented, but the manner in which they are questioned and some of the comments that were made, I felt were a little overboard. The reason you weren't, that Kathy Trummel was not at that meeting is because the Board of Education chair tries to keep her away from you guys. And that's a sad, way to look at things. She protects Kathy, knowing that Kathy's not used to dealing with town government and being questioned. But regardless, Kathy's doing a very fantastic job. And I know I caught some of the things that I didn't have anything a report or anything in front of me, but listening online, it seemed to have to do with corrections after the end of the year to her report. And I might let you know that the Board of Ed has until the end of August to pay invoices that pertain to the previous fiscal year, and they have till the end of August to make any transfers within their budget and take advantage of some of the grants that are available to pay for things instead of having to use the town funds. I hope that some of you might look back and if you feel that you were responsible for maybe for a questionable comment, that you drop by or make an appointment to see Kathy and in person offer an apology for the way it was handled. Not everyone, you know, that doesn't apply to everyone. But there's a very good, you've probably heard it, that we may lose Kathy. She's retired. I worked I worked at Connecticut College and she was right there at the Williams School. So I've known her for some time. She retired from the Williams School and came back to the town just to help out the town. But she's a little sensitive to comments that are made that she felt were not justified, and we might lose her. And I tell you, she has been the best business manager since Chuck McCarthy, and we have the best bookkeeper since Robbie McCarthy, I guess Robbie wasn't the bookkeeper. But Chuck McCarthy, he was a good business manager, although he was unfortunately had to work alongside of a corrupt superintendent. So I did at times take issue with some of the decisions Chuck was forced to make. But I just wanted to offer that, and just if you would think about it, we have some very valuable people that work for the town, and we especially don't want to lose the people we have now, because they're doing a great job.
Well, Sean, I am so appreciative that you got up and said something, particularly as a former selectman, a former member of this board, and a treasurer who I think is doing a hell of a job. And I'm glad you said something. I didn't know how we were going to address this. I don't really have anything on the agenda for it. But I wasn't here, and even if it was, I'm the chair of this board, and we are volunteers. The Board of Ed are volunteers, and we need to treat each other with respect at all times, even if we have differences. I think I can speak on behalf of this board that we all think that both in the central office, the bookkeeper and Kathy and Susan and Sue are doing an amazing job, an absolutely amazing job. I know what we all were here when we didn't have the administrator of finance and administration, whatever the position's called, the bookkeeper, when Susan left. I'm sorry, it was Melissa Peterson's the bookkeeper. And last year, with regard to the business manager at the school, how far we've come. They've done yeoman's work. And I called Kathy earlier last week, and I spoke with her today. And I did tell her that sincerely apologize for comments that were probably said in jest, but were just not in good taste, given the amount of work that they do. And I think hopefully we'll have her for as long as she'll be with us. But I really thank you for your comments. And I don't know if anyone else has anything to say, but
I also called Kathy and told her how much I appreciate the work she's done and the great work she continues, and congratulate her on the hard decision she had made. I haven't heard any different about that decision. Do you know anything, Sean? Is there?
According to my conversation, she is not resigning.
Good. But to address the public comment, the comments were not pointed at Kathy. They were pointed at the inability to identify what drove the changes in two reports that were a month apart. And that's not Kathy. That's the Board of Education, and that's the superintendent. That's where we were going. So, I don't want to argue this tonight, but I really don't want to get a spanking either. Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, we'll move on.
Because I did, after listening to one of the tapes, I don't think it was the last meeting, it might have been the meeting before that, there seemed to have been a question about the account, one of the accounts or whatever that we have, question of how the, had to do with account structure or whatever. But I've put together tonight for you a list of the accounts that we have. The first three accounts on the list sort of go together. At the close of every business day from the tax collection that sweeps into the general fund account. And then also after that is done, at the end of every day, anything in excess of the $3 million is swept into the insured cash sweep account. The reason that we have a tax collections account is to keep that sort of separate from the general fund rather than everything going straight into the general fund. It keeps it separate, and it allows us to more easily reconcile with, I think they call in the statute, they call it the town rate book. But what it is, it's your tax collection system and the reporting out of there. So that's why there's a separate account like that. The insured cash sweep account is something that I set up when I became treasurer, so that we can earn some better interest on some of our money. And then it was after that that I'd say, oh, we could do better than the 1.5% or the 2% we were getting in this cash sweep account if we did some CDs. And then I started doing some CDs as well. Onto the BOE checking account. They start at the beginning of the year with 0. They submit a voucher to me, whether it be for payroll, for a wire, for Capital One, or medical insurance, or accounts payable, whatever the case may be. I get separate vouchers, and every Wednesday I work with them and make the transfers that are equal to those vouchers into their account. That way the funds, once again, the funds are staying in interest bearing as long as we can. The CNR fund, the capital non-recurring, there's items that are approved in the town budget at the beginning of the fiscal year. Those dollars for those items are put into the CNR account. And also then they're put in there with the balance that was left unspent from previous fiscal years. Yes.
When you say account, you're not just on paper, they are separate account numbers associated with these?
I'm talking accounts at the bank. These are bank accounts.
That's what I'm asking.
These are all separate bank accounts. Okay, next we have a Hewitt Farm account. That's a type of concentration account that the auditors call it, and it basically allows them to receive funds from, say, rental of plots, or for renting the pavilion and so forth. And then some of their expenses are paid for out of this. This is not the Hewitt Farm line item in your budget. That's in the general fund. My rec, this account is where people sign up for recreation programs online. They use a credit card, and those credit card payments from those systems are put directly into this account. And what we started doing at the end of every month, we leave some dollars in it, and then we move the remainder over to the general fund once again, so that we could make as much interest as we can. The housing rehab, that's a grant we had about, we last did it, I think, in 2016. We got $400,000. People under certain circumstances were able to get loans from that pot of money. And the town hired someone to administer the program as far as sending projects out to bid and inspecting the projects and all and that. So this is a balance that we have left from that grant. It was decided after I left office that there were too many problems with this, and since then, this grant hasn't been, I don't believe it's been pursued. A lot of the problems had to do with the bookkeeper dealing with the company that was administering it, and she advised us against moving forward with taking on any more grant money. The people pay this back either when their house is sold or they pass and the house is transferred or whatever. There is liens on the properties to get this money back. That's why it's still there. Land use fees, those come from credit card payments from the online system for building permits and for zoning permits, etc. Lunch program, parents pay, I guess, online for their students, their kids' meals. And so that's an account that goes directly into. And also we receive some state payments. They have, frequently they come straight into the general fund, and then we move the money to this lunch program. And Kathy administers that, paying the contractor and so forth out of that account. Cub Club, it's an after school, before and after school program. Once again, payments are made and the expenses for the program are paid for out of this account. Student activity, parents pay for various student activities. And expenses for these activities are paid for out of this account. It's administered by the business manager as well. She keeps track of it. I think she has it. It's one of the things she had to fix when she got there is that the program that was being used was obsolete, and she's moved that into, I believe, a QuickBooks program to manage that. It's not just one student activity. It's various different reasons, different accounts. Scholarships, people donate money for various scholarships that are offered to students. And so that's donations and received and payouts made from that account. BOE non-lapsing, you're familiar with that. The next we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cemetery accounts. These are trust funds, trusts that are registered where the probate court oversees these trusts. I have laid out for the Conservation Commission based on the spend rules of each one of those trusts, how much they could take out of those accounts, and the money from that that is available. Some of these are so low, the money is not available anymore. But the ones that are, they use it for mowing or any repairs or whatever at the cemeteries. The last one, Cemetery Commission Working Account. It is my understanding this account was created when the longtime commissioner of the commission resigned. When he resigned, he gave the town a satchel full of paperwork and also money. And so that those monies could be used for cemeteries and not lost at the end of the fiscal year, you know, like the rest of the budget expires. This working account was created. So they do some of the maintenance out of this, as well as their town budget line item in their budget. When I took over as treasurer, there was not a fiduciary assigned to these accounts since Mark, I'm not sure Mark's last name. Bob, do you know Board of Finance, Mark? Who was the treasurer before Mustafa? Yeah. Can't think of it now, but Mark had take over, he was the, pardon? Donahue. He did, he got himself appointed as the fiduciary for those when he took over as treasurer. When I came on board, the late notices for annual reports were in the file drawer along with bank statements, and that money was not being utilized. So we've, I cleaned that up, appointed myself as the fiduciary, and from now on, that will be part of the turnover for the treasurers. Come November, that'll be part of the turnover as far as having that use of those funds for the future and doing the required reporting from the probate court. Does anyone have any questions on any of that? Okay. Yeah.
On these accounts, besides the trust fund accounts, which I'm assuming are savings accounts,
Yes, I believe they are. Say,
are the balance of them checking accounts?
pardon?
The balance of the accounts, their checking account?
What do you mean by the balance of the balance?
The other accounts?
Oh, the other ones.
The housing rehab, the land use fee?
I think some of them might be savings. I'm not sure what type of accounts. The only ones earning interest off of that on this is our insured cash sweep account, the MyRec account gets like a 0.05% interest,
Well, you got it, yeah.
and our land use account gets like a 0.05% interest.
So the question I would have on the checking account, the general fund that's maintaining a $3 million balance,
Yes,
is that number to offset the charges that the bank is making against?
yes, that's what
Usage that we
I'm told. That was the agreement back in, I want to say 2015, beginning of 2016. Robin Rohr was treasurer. We had been with Citizens, and they started having fees. So we pursued Chelsea Groton, and this is the arrangement that was made at that time by the treasurer.
Did they give you a reconciliation on that to show? Because normally what would happen is you would get you don't earn interest, but you earn a credit to go against your charge.
I don't get any accounting of that.
For the fees and none of that?
No, I don't think so. If they may be on the end of a statement that I don't pay enough attention to. I don't know. to be
It's
honest.
something to-
I could find out whether it's on any statements, but if they're not, that's the only place that I would see them.
Well, it's not unusual when you have a sweep account to get a reconciliation of that every month. with the-
Okay.
The terms of it, to establish the $3 million as the base. And then you can come to the understanding as to why you've got the balance left to do that. So, something to look at.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions on that? Also gave you tonight the updated short-term investment interest for, this is as of the end of September. I just realized after telling you that my rec and land use were the only ones that got interest. So I failed to update the my rec line at the bottom and the land use line. So in reality, we're about 25 cents off. So I'll add that to next report. But I didn't realize that you mentioned that. I thought, oh man, I looked because I was I got the statements at 3 o'clock this afternoon for September. And maybe I was a little bit too rushed to get this out to you, but so we're about 25 cents off on that, and but I've realized it, and we'll get it corrected next month. Any questions on that? Oh, I think we're budgeted for 100,000. So we're at 62 now. We still have, notice we have 7 million invested in CDs right now. So one that matures on October 23rd and one that matures on November 6th. I watched the cash flow and history from previous years, how much we spend in a given month. And I try to keep a comfortable amount left to get us through each month in between, tax collection season. I probably won't get another CD out there. Maybe $1 million or $2 million once these come back, both of these come back. But other than that, it will be after taxes are collected are done in February. So we will make, so regardless, we'll make that 100,000, I believe. I've tried to be conservative, not knowing what the approach would be of the next treasurer. As you know, I'm not running anything. So go ahead.
Thank you, Sean. Can you just explain the process of obtaining the CD for anyone listening? And this is one of the reasons I am very happy with Chelsea Groton. Pull my cell phone out of the back pocket. I call a number and I tell them to move so many dollars into a CD, and that's done on a recorded line, and it's that simple. No paperwork involved whatsoever. And that's, one thing utilizing Chelsea Groton, it's local, they're local. Any issues come up, I get personal attention. They know me by name and by face at Chelsea Groton. So I'm haven't pursued any other bank to deal with.
Just so I understand, other than the short-term investment interest certificates you have here on the second sheet you gave us, when it goes into the insured cash sweep, is it like the InfraCash service that it's held there until you decide you're going to put into a CD?
Anything over 3 million at the end of the day
Right.
goes to this account.
Okay. And is it held in that InfraCash service? kind of account for?
Yes, it's-
Until you put it to a CD?
Right.
That makes sense.
So only because it ties to a later topic, I think,
Yeah.
on the agenda. The land acquisition fund is part of the general fund, right?
No,
Where is that held?
that's in the capital non-reoccurring. Yeah, CNR, 75, 77,000, something like that.
So are we investing that? Or is that just sitting there?
It's just sitting there.
That's what I want to know. Thanks.
Yep.
One more question, Sean. Sorry.
Yeah, sure.
So these dollars for the CDs, they come from an overage? Is that when you make that decision? I'm just trying
You
to
see-
understand.
Well, like right now, if you look at this report, we basically have available to us, if you look at the 3 million plus the 2,793,000, we have basically $5.8 million available. Well, three of it needs to stay there. So I guess we're looking at like $2.8 million to get us through October 23rd, when one of the next CD matures. So I happen to, I have a spreadsheet, I look at this, just this, since this has happened, there's about $500,000 has been moved to the school account. We have payments for, I'm not sure if it's a school project or the emergency services, but there's an FDA loan payment due this in October. So that, along with, regular payroll and so forth, I have estimates of those numbers, and hopefully they get us through. If they don't get us through on that 2.8 million, then we're gonna have to tap that 3
So
million.
you work
That's all there is to it.
You work with the general fund to try to make that money work for us.
Right, well, I try to invest a safe amount so that we don't have a cash flow problem. Like I said, I could always go back on the 3 million that is supposed to be maintained in the general fund account with Chelsea Groton. If it's just for, a week or something, I'm sure they wouldn't have any grief
Right.
of going below that. But I'm fairly conservative, so I don't try to cut it close.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. I appreciate it. And
You're welcome.
great job with it. I mean, making $62,000 already in 13 weeks on their money rather than let it sit and make nothing. That's a plan you implemented a couple of years ago, and it's been great. Thank you. All right, we have agenda number 5 on the potential land acquisition. Bob, you want to speak, and then I can read a letter from
You
the
have a letter from
the
somebody?
Land Acquisition Commission.
Okay. So, we do have Ann Nelson here representing Avalonia this evening. This is we have to go through a process, we said earlier, because of them asking for 75,000 from the Land Acquisition Fund. A correction, I don't mean to correct you, Sean, but I think that we do collect interest on land acquisition funds because it's part of the capital, not part of CNR. The way I think it is, all money is in the general fund, whether it be obligated or de-obligated. And so the general fund Sean has the ability to invest it. And the land acquisition fund, along with highway capital, any capital that we have put aside, town building improvements capital, that's still in our general fund, as is the undesignated fund. But the undesignated fund has not been obligated. These things have been obligated, but we can use that money when we're not using the money. So we can use it to invest when we're not using it. So I'll clear that up with you tomorrow if I see you, but
I see that I have a report, so yes, it's part of capital, and capital is part of the general.
right. So
Notice there is no such account as the undesignated fund.
correct.
That I always try to correct. Undesignated fund is undesignated part of the general fund.
Correct.
Not a separate account.
So to answer your question, Gary, it can be collecting interest if it's part of the money we invest, okay? So back to this, so because Avalonia has, and you have on your desk, I brought this up earlier today, you have the maps, you also have what Avalonia has a $400,000 price tag on this land from Kincaid, which they got a $300,000 grant. They wanted $75,000 from the land use funds, land acquisition fund, excuse me, and then they were going to make up the difference. This is not something that the town has to do. They're asking us for it, but because they were, if they weren't asking us for $75,000, this would just be a private deal. We wouldn't even be talking about this. But because they asked for money from the town, it had to go through the process of the Board of Selectmen, the Board of Planning and Zoning Commission, which you did, and you have that report on your desk, as well as the Board of Finance. And ultimately, if it goes through the Board of Finance, it goes to town meeting to be heard. And the town meeting right now is scheduled for tentatively for November 24th, I believe. So that's the ask. Selectman Mastriani at our meeting asked point blank to the gentleman who's here representing Avalonia that night, would you be buying this land even if we didn't contribute? And the answer was probably yes. It's a very, very valuable piece of land to Avalonia. It ties in with Babcock Ridge and the other piece, I don't remember the name. So it creates a large portion of land that would all be tied together. And again, it's a valuable piece. So I think what the town is asking is, if we were to donate, would we have a seat at the table to help determine how that land would be used? And most importantly, to make sure that land would never be sold. And what I had heard is in the past, from time to time, it's not frequent, that Avalonia does sell land. Again, not very often. And I can't see where this would be sold since it's attached to two other properties, unless the entire 3 properties were sold. But I think if there's a town concern, it would be that that land would be held in perpetuity, would never be sold. If we give them the $75,000, would we get a seat at the table? And I think that would be the question. If we don't get it and they buy it anyway, then can they pretty much do what they want with the land? So I think that's the question. But if you look at planning and zoning in their report, everything they've done is consistent with the POCD. It's consistent with the ordinance. There's nothing that they're asking for that is out of the ordinary. If you read the ordinance, which I think you have a copy of that too, it's consistent with that. So I'm here to say, and I think Ann would here be answer questions that I can't answer, as well as whether we would have a voice or not. Would the town like to contribute the $75,000 to the purchase of this land? And how important is this land from the town that we'd like to purchase? We'd like to add to the purchase. That money's been sitting in that account for quite a while. We stopped funding it because somebody more astute than I said, wait a minute, why do we have to fund it if we can go for an appropriation? We see the perfect piece of land for $300,000. And we say, we really need that to build this, a new whatever, a new town hall. So the town can appropriate that money at that time. All that money in that land acquisition fund is to make that a little bit, not as deep a hurt. And so just like we do with the bulky waste, money putting aside for the bulky waste pile and so on. So all this does is it makes it $75,000 less than we would have to do that. There's nothing on the agenda right now that we're going to be doing that anytime soon. The money's sitting there. As the interest rates go down, we're getting less and less money on it. As Sean would tell you, we're not making anywhere near the money we made 2 years ago. That's because interest rates came down. So I guess the question is, does the Board of Finance, are they willing to say, yes, we'll agree to move this forward to a town meeting and let the town decide whether they want to contribute or not? And at the town meeting, I would hope there'd be plenty of people from Avalonia to answer questions that I'm not able to answer. That's it. That's where we are.
Okay. Anyone have any questions for Bob right now? Or I can read the letter that the Conservation Commission wrote to us.
You and you're available for questions if we need to, right? I get it. Okay, need to, kind of. All right, I'm going to sit down while you're reading. Is that okay?
Sure.
In your meeting, I believe you asked the guy to come forward with a potential plan of how they were going to manage the land. Have you heard from him?
I have not seen that.
Had not seen that.
No, I have not.
So his statement during that meeting was that they will not do anything until they own the land. I
Correct.
believe. So
They
us
didn't-
guys even asking questions of whether we're going to have a thing in it or not, maybe no. and void.
Right, so I think that if, again, if we don't contribute, they can do what they want.
Right.
But if they want us to contribute, they would probably have to come up with a plan. I think what he said at that particular meeting was they didn't want to spend a lot of money on a plan if they weren't going to buy the land. But they also told us they were going to buy it whether we contributed or not, so.
On that, so that
Yes.
during this, is there a discussion about having a deed restriction that it would never be developed?
So I think that would, if this gets to a town meeting, I think that would be part of the discussion before the vote would be, what kind of restrictions we would be able to put on this. I heard that someone said, well, why wouldn't Nita's husband put restrictions on? And I guess if he was donating the land, he could, but because he's selling it, he doesn't have that ability. I mean, he could say Nita would have liked this and Nita would have liked that, but I mean, Gary shaking his head, apparently I misspoke.
I
but-
have a little bit of history in real
Okay.
estate.
Okay,
That's not true. He can
Okay.
put whatever deed restrictions he wants on it, same as we would if we were selling the piece, the town.
but we don't know if he did that.
No, we don't. There's been, so perhaps the selectmen might want to get a look at the draft purchase and sale agreement to see what's there. So you're ready for those questions if it goes to town meeting.
So if it should pass the Board of Finance, it has to come back to the Board of Selectmen to put it on a town meeting call. And we could have them come to a select meeting prior to the town meeting and see if we have that plan at that point. But it could end tonight too, so.
So the mechanics of this are that we donate the money to Avalonia. And then Avalonia uses that money to go buy the land. Right? We're not going to be a party at the closing.
No, it's not. We have nothing to do
We're
other
just
than
making a
donation. But I would think, Lou, we would have to, in my opinion, for something, I would think we'd have to have some certainty that we would have some say in what would happen to the land after the fact, because if we have no say, then why donate? If they're going to do it anyway. So if there's no advantage to the town, like saying, okay, that land has to be held in perpetuity, never to be developed, we're not going to get something like that, then why would we be involved? And it has to be a win-win, right? Win for Avalonia, but win for the town. We don't just give $75,000 away for nothing, so.
So then when will that be determined?
I would say that the final determination would be at a town meeting if it gets that far. But if we're gonna put it on,
As far
sorry,
as the conditions on the deed that it never be, as an example, that it would never be developed. When will that language be agreed upon?
we'd have to agree upon that prior to the town meeting. So if it's gonna go back to the Board of Selectmen, we could have them come and present to us again with these kind of questions. Say, where is our assurances? Because even if it comes through you, the Board of Selectmen don't have to put it on a town meeting and say, we're not gonna put it on. So I mean, I think those questions that we've heard in planning and zoning, we've heard from just general comments, from public comment, and we'll probably hear tonight from you. If those aren't ironed out, then I'm thinking, why would we be involved?
Yeah, Bob, I agree. I think there's a couple different ways that we can go after, like some level of assurances. There's easements, there's reversionary clauses, there's things that we could request. So I think it's likely most of the town would require some sort of assurance if we were to provide the dollars. I think going to town meeting or even coming, I don't even know if coming to Board of Finance at this point, like other than making it, I don't know that it makes sense for us to move it forward. Because I think most people in town would want some sort of understanding of what has the town asked for to make sure that if the land was ever sold, it could actually be reverted back to the town, or if the land was ever, had some sort of easement on it that required it to be used for very specific purposes. And ahead of that, I'm not sure what I would be voting on.
Right, so I don't know if the Board of Finance is going to move it forward to say, we approve of this and we'd like to see that go forward. I think if the Board of Finance is looking at this from a financial decision, does this make financial sense for the town or doesn't it? And if you decided that it doesn't make financial sense because that money would be better spent somewhere else, or that you don't want to give up that money at this particular time because of things that might be coming down the road, then you're making a decision, say, financially, I don't think this is the best time for the town to spend this money. But I don't think I'm asking you to say, yeah, we want to move this forward because we think it's a good idea to do it. It's strictly a financial decision, I believe. I think that's the reason why the town years ago said, this is the process and you're part of the process.
Right, so if us guys wanted to decide for the townspeople that we wanted them restrictions, or we do not give them the money, how do we do that tonight? By giving you an answer, yes or no?
We
If we
wouldn't.
give you an answer, no, we have
I
not
don't-
given
I-
them options.
I think that, I mean, the process is, do we want to move it to a town meeting? And then it's obvious, there's got to be things worked out between the town and Avalonia to say, you're going to get this money, but this is the deal. Then Avalonia has to have contractual arrangements with
Yeah, but they're not gonna do that until they get
Garrett
the
and
land.
Cade. What's that?
They're not gonna do that until they get the land. That's what the guy stated that one night. They're not gonna touch anything or tell you anything you're gonna do with it until they own the property. He was very specific about that.
And if that's the way they approach it, Carl, then my suggestion would be, and I would change my vote as a selectman when it comes back to us, that I would vote not to send it to a town meeting. We don't have some assurances that we're gonna have. Again, why would we do this for nothing? It's gotta be a win-win.
I don't know if it's yours or
I don't
mine or
know.
what.
Well, I'm
could be-
voting,
it
so
could be.
What is the tax revenue loss on that property?
It's not a.
It's all forestry, pretty much,
Yeah,
right?
it's not as much you think, because it is, Gary's keeping the piece that has the house and the barn,
Yep.
which is the, more of the tax revenue.
Yep.
And there is forestry, it's either forestry or open space, one of those
One of
two.
the two.
But it's not, I think we looked at it, it was under $10,000.
Okay.
It wasn't a big number.
Okay.
So then I'm hearing this, our role is to say whether or not the town can afford this. Right? I mean, we're not making the decision to do it. It's whether or not this is financially viable. If we can write a check and if it's a good, not if it's a good or bad thing, because we don't make that decision to go forward this board of selectmen.
So if you look at the
Right?
decision
I'm
that
trying
came
to clarify
through,
that, right?
you have the decision that came through planning and zoning, and you saw the way they handled it.
Right.
How did it work with with P O C D? How does it work with the future plans of the town? Not financial, because that's not their department. Their department, how does this work with the P O C D? Then your department is, how does this handle financially? Can we afford it? If we were strapped right now, obviously you would say, there's no way. And I'm not telling you approve or not to approve. I'm just saying that you could say that I think that we don't think the town at this time should spend that $75,000. But I think it's up to the board of selectmen and ultimately the town meeting, which you are all residents and taxpayers, will have a voice at that town meeting.
So given our financial position, the question is, can we afford that amount of money?
I-
Is that the question?
I think it's two questions, or at least for me, it's two questions. It's that question. And then would we be willing to approve it without or with, or require assurances? Because I do think that's part of the financial decision.
But we're putting the trust in the selectmen to make that decision if it doesn't meet the certain requirements.
So I
They're
think the
either gonna want
selectmen
to send
and
it to a town meeting or not.
the selectmen and ultimately the town, which is
Yeah.
the governing body in our town, which is town meeting form of government. So I agree with you, Sarah, to a point, but I think and I think as a taxpayer, I agree with you. As a board of finance member, I'm sure that you're not extending that farther than you needed
If
to.
there's not assurances, it's not a good deal. Like, that's how I look at it. If it's just donating $75,000, that's not necessarily something that I think offers a strong return to the town. If it's 75,000 plus assurances that in some way this land is kept as we expect it to be, then I consider that part of the deal.
I'm just going to read the letter and then
Okay.
we'll continue this because I think
Go ahead. But I still need to speak.
I'm not. Gary, why don't you go ahead? I think it's relevant to other advantages to the town as far as the plan of conservation and development. This was addressed to me as chairman by the Conservation Commission, which is Bill Ricker, Conservation Chair, Dr. Steve Colgan, Doug Ferrand, Robert Degorski, Dr. Arnie Valix, Monica Dumont, and Josh Strunk. dated September 30th, 2025. Conservation Commission has been asked by the Avalonia Land Conservancy for monies from our Land Acquisition Fund, we'll just call it LAF from now on, to assist in their purchase of 100 acres from Gary Kincaid at 51 Babcock Road. Following extensive discussions and planning, the commission unanimously and enthusiastically recommends using the monies in the LAF, maintaining a token holding to keep the account open, using that money exclusively for the purchase of the Kincaid property by Avalonia. As our town would not otherwise be able to purchase this property, Avalonia's purchase would allow our citizenry to avail themselves of extensive ADA trail hiking and passive recreation while protecting wildlife habitat and contributing to the protection of the Assaconk River. These combined parcels will add significantly to the ongoing development of the Central Wildlife Greenway corridor proposed by the Conservation Commission and supported in both the 2013 and 2023 Plan of Conservation and Development. Gary Kincaid will be holding out land surrounding the house and outbuildings with the remainder of the property to be sold to the agreed upon, I think it's $400,000 assessed value. The state of Connecticut has awarded Avalonia with $300,000 plus incidental costs for the purchase. This property is the second largest of the 19 identified parcels in the Plan of Conservation and Recreation chapter of the 2023 POCD. Quote, recommended for future acquisition and or protection, end of quote, as identified on the preservation map on page 16 of said chapter. As stated, quote, this parcel, parentheses, hashtag 5146, I guess that's the number, is adjacent to two significant permanently protected wildlife areas. The parcel includes an on-site pond with 2 brook drainages, pastures, and woodlands. Combining the 3 properties would add 264.24 adjoining acres for wildlife habitat, end of quote. The brook drainages on this property flow into the Assaconk River, also protected on the east side by Avalonia's holdings immediately south of Babcock Road. The 100 acres of this property combined with the 135.69 acres of Avalonia's holdings immediate adjacent, known as Babcock Ridge, which is 73.69 acres, and Erisman's Preserve, 62 acres, combined with the additional Avalonia holdings to the immediate south, the Henny Preserve of 113.2 acres, would protect 348.89 acres, the largest protected open space area in town and second only to Patchogue Forest. There's been ongoing discussion over the past several years regarding the town adding tax dollars to the LAF as the money lies fallow, gaining very little interest, waiting for a property deemed appropriate for town purchase. If the town needs property for a worthy purpose, they said we could at that time bond needed monies as we would a fire truck or a public works vehicle. This is the time for that worthy purpose. It is understood that the townspeople would need to approve such a move of funds over, it says 15,000, maybe it's 20,000, and ask that this be included in the next planned town meeting for discussion and decision.
Like, what, just for the minutes, who was what commission was it from?
Conservation Commission.
Conservation Commission. Thank you.
I sent that out by email today. You should have it. Yes, please. Want to come up?
Can I talk now?
Yeah.
So according to the Avalonia's page, Avalonia already got approved for a grant for 300,000 plus 32,150 for incidentals from the state of Connecticut. So the gap is a little less than the 75. But anyway, looking at Avalonia's 990 from 2023, which is the most current on file, you got 24.2 million in assets, which is land. I get that. But it also has revenue less expenses of $1.38 million. So why would the town provide $75,000 in funding and not have a tangible benefit out of it for the taxpayers that paid that money?
Well, I
versus-
can answer that question quite
Okay.
simply because maintaining the trails is a huge part of it. I do maintain, I'm head of the North Stonington, Avalonia for maintaining the trails in North Stonington and the work that it takes to do the trails. Sometimes we have to have big machines come in to do things, to make parking lots. We do a lot with invasive species. I mean, historically, Avalonia they keep their properties. They don't sell them off. That's not their intent. Their intent is keep them to keep them in conservation so that future generations can enjoy that land, so they can have that land available for them. For example, the Hoffman Preserve was dying. The one located on 201, it was in really rough shape. Avalonia came in and they totally had hired somebody professionally to come in and take care of it. If you've been in that preserve since they a lot of regrowth in there, it's absolutely beautiful. So Avalonia takes care of the land. We don't just put it in perpetuity and let it just sit there. Every single piece of property that Avalonia owns, they take care of. If there's an invasive species in there, if there's rare species of flowers, if there's animals that need protecting, we do all that. So it takes a lot of money and a lot of time. The amount of volunteers, hours that we spend just working on the trails alone is unbelievable.
I don't disagree. And I am, Bob laughs when I say this, but I'm a member of Avalonia and my wife uses it regularly and so do I periodically. I think it's great, but I just don't understand with we'll just round 1.4 million in cash in 2023. Why take the town's $75,000?
You know, there's other,
conservation?
because there's more properties that we're actually procuring. So this is not the only property that we're procuring. There's other properties that Avalonia is also procuring. And I just wanted to mention too, that this is Anita's property. She was a selectman and she did a lot for this town. And I think that it would be an honor to her to support an Avalonia purchase because of what she has done. She was she did Hewitt Farm and she did a lot for this town. And I think it would be an honor for her to do, for us to do that.
Completely agree. And I hope Avalonia gets land. I'm just questioning the use of the conservation, the acquisition fund for the town to do it. That's the only thing. And I'm going to say my vote would be to let the townspeople decide because it's their money. But I had to ask the question about the cash.
Okay, well, that's hopefully I answered your question, that the amount of work that needs to be done, and trust me, there's a lot of work that has to be done. And
I guess so we're all very big fans of Nita. We miss her quite a bit. And we're
Yes.
very big fans of what you've done, what the Avalonia Commission has done in general in this area. And I know in addition to some of the invasive species work that you've done, you've also worked with local research organizations, I believe when I was at UConn, there was some excavation done on some of the sites that had Native American materials and things like that, and worked in collaboration with them. So I think everything you're doing is great. If the intent is to keep the land and as it is in perpetuity, it feels like the ask of some sort of deeded easement to ensure the town that that's what it's going to go for in honor of Nita shouldn't be like a huge ask. If that's what
I'm
you're
sure
planning
that,
to do anyway.
yeah, I'm sure that can be worked out. I don't see any reason why that can't be worked out with because that's their goal. I mean, so I can't see why that shouldn't happen. Okay, thank you.
Any further comment? Yeah, go ahead.
I'll make a motion.
Oh, go ahead. Want to come up and speak?
I was at the meeting that Avalonia was at and then the presentation. And to me, for our town, that land acquisition fund, I believe, was set up so we wouldn't get caught with our pants down again. We bought the Hewitt property. Our town paid for that whole thing. And I don't know if anybody else gave us any money to purchase that land. Our town did. And we have complete say in that. When I was at that meeting, Avalonia was asked what we have to say. And they said, well, we're getting a big chunk from the state of Connecticut. And if that land gets sold, state of Connecticut has a say. I understood what they said, and I could be wrong. I doubt it. If you want to go back to that meeting and look at it, you can. But I understand they said the town will not have a say if they get ready to sell that land. Now, as far as Anita goes, yes, she's a very good person in this town. She's one of the people I admired. There's other ways to honor her in our town, in people in our town. I don't think taking $75,000 from the land acquisition fund is the way to do it. I do believe that there may be land coming that our town can put that money toward and purchase, and then we have the say in it. I would not personally give away any money unless I have a say in where the money is going to be. One, we got to say where it would be spent. But if Avalonia has that much money, they should just purchase it outright. Especially, you can't just come to me and say, hey, we need another 75,000. We want you to give it to us. That's not what that fund was set up for. And I'm hoping that you'll take that in consideration, because I know it doesn't sound like much money in the scope of a town, but to me, it's like when I come to you guys and I say, gee, you're taking another $5 out of my pocket. That's what it means to me. I'd rather not see it even go to a town meeting, because I know town meetings can be stacked, and I've lived in this town a long time, and I've seen them stacked. I just say, please, do not spend the land acquisition fund toward this purchase. Let Avalonia do it on themselves. The Conservation Commission, just remember, they're an advisory board. I think I was going to go look it up today, but I didn't get a chance to because I had to work. But that it seems to me there was land before we were looking at, and the Conservation Commission came and asked for money, and it didn't go. I don't know who ended up buying it, but it was a land, some kind of land, what do they call them? Land people, I call them. The ones that overlook them. I think it was like 40,000 they wanted or something, and we didn't do it. But anyways, I'd like to say, anyways, if we put 75,000 in there, and they already stated we wouldn't have a say if they get ready to sell it or anything. State of Connecticut would, and Avalonia would. And why are we giving even 2 cents to them? That's just my point of view on the whole thing. Anyways, thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Anything further? I mean, there's a commission that sent us a letter. There's a letter to the Board of Selectmen from the Planning and Zoning Commission, moving it forward to them. The Board of Selectmen have heard this and moved it to us. I think there are, to everyone's point, there are things that probably need to be ironed out, but before Board of Selectmen send this to a town meeting. But I'd entertain a motion right now to move this back to the Board of Selectmen to call a town meeting.
Make a motion that we do so.
Yep.
The amount of $75,000.
Second.
Just is it, I'm just saying about 75,000 is what we're looking for, right? Correct? Yeah. Okay. Can we have that motion? Do you have that motion? Or do you want it clear, more clear? Yeah, more clear. No. Just clarify the motion, please.
Okay, I make a motion that we approve the recommendation of the $75,000 grant, purchase the land at 51 Babcock, the Avalonia Land Conservancy.
Second.
Appropriate is probably more the better word.
Appropriate.
Can you just read back the motion once? You need to speak in the mic.
Scratch this, but, motion by Lou Gingerella to approve the recommendation to appropriation
Appropriation.
of $75,000 grant to purchase the land by the Avalonia Land Conservancy. In that somewhat of a, I'll make it pretty after. Is that correct?
Or would it be more accurate to say we agree to utilize the land acquisition fund?
The language is important.
Yeah, oh, no, I agree. That's what, yeah, I'm just doing this on the fly here. So,
Should be a motion to,
motion to approve the utilization
of $75,000.
$75,000 of the land acquisition fund for the purchase.
51
No,
Babcock
no,
Road.
Actually, it'd be for the donation to the
Correct.
Avalonia Land
Yeah.
Trust,
That's what it
Land
is.
Conservancy,
Correct.
Yeah, second.
to purchase 51 Babcock.
Facilitate the purchase.
Sold it. Really.
That sounds much better.
You like
Yeah.
that? Facilitate? Yeah. Yeah, I seconded it like 5 times.
And for the correct wording, is it Avalonia Land? What are we calling this? The Kincaid property? Or are we-
Avalonia Land Conservancy.
To the acquisition, for the acquisition of, well,
But the Land Conservancy,
it is
Is
51
given.
Babcock Road, North Stonington. That coincides with what the planning and zoning identified as that. So,
Bob, this is coming out of the Land Conservancy?
No,
No, land
the
acquisition.
land acquisition fund.
All right, thank you.
One more time, can you read it?
I did not write that word for word because you guys never
Okay.
speak word for word. So I go back and look at my notes and sometimes look at the video and then create what was stated. So motion by Lou Gingerella to approve the recommendation of a $75,000 purchase by the Land Conservancy to donate to Land Conservancy to facilitate the purchase of 51 Babcock Road, which will come from the Land Acquisition Fund.
Is this there?
And to move it back to the Board of Selectmen to put it to town vote.
And to move that to the Board of Selectmen, to put it to a town.
Seconded by Dan Smith. All those in favor, raise your hand.
Discussion.
Oh, yeah, discussion, I'm sorry, yep, further
I'd like to-
discussion.
Yes. What? No. I want to make an amendment to the motion.
Sure.
So I would like, as a condition of this contribution, that Avalonia grant the town of North Stonington perpetual conservation easement or other legally enforceable restriction to be on record, to be recorded on the land records. And sure, I will give you the text. If other people agree. Ensuring the property shall be permanently preserved for open space and conservation purposes. I don't think it's a large ask.
Well, I understand that, and I think a lot of people are in agreement with that. that that should happen. My only question is that our purview
No, it's
as a
not.
Board of Finance, I think we're charged with understanding if we can afford it. I think it's the Board of Selectmen and ultimately the town meeting that would decide the conditions by which the money would be granted. But I think our job is just to say, can the town of North Stonington afford to do that?
I think we are charged to be fiscally responsible, and that is one of the things in my mind that makes this fiscally responsible versus not.
Well, no, I don't think it's saying that we're not being fiscally responsible. I think it's just having the right people doing the right decision making. We're putting the trust in the selectmen to make the final determination to send it to a town meeting based on what they deem is right for the town.
So I don't know if we can accept that condition, because now you're putting that condition on the Board of Selectmen to move that condition forward, and if the Board of Selectmen don't agree with that condition, so I have to agree with Lou in this case. This is a financial decision. However, if this goes back to the Board of Selectmen, we will iron out, and I am totally agreeing with you, Sarah, that we should have that ironed out before it
I'm
goes to
agreeing
town
with you, too.
meeting. I think it comes to us as the Board of Selectmen to get those things ironed out, or we don't send it to a town meeting. So I agree that those are the things that we need to have, but I'm not so sure that if your board puts that out in restriction on now, I'm not sure it goes any farther. So
Then I feel like it's the wrong order of operations. Like you're asking us to approve money for a deal that's not ironed out yet. And anything related to the deal goes to whether the deal is fiscally responsible, in my opinion. So I would be a no vote tonight. if
I
that were the
understood.
case.
Understood. I would just say if as the Board of Selectmen, as Pro Selectmen, I would take it back to my board to iron out all these loose ends prior to going to a town meeting. And then the town meeting will then have also a lot of questions that we don't think about. And then have lawyers have to answer those questions and ultimately a vote at the town meeting. So I think it'll be properly vetted out. There may be people that agree with you, Sarah, there may be people that don't, and that's why we have a town meeting form of government. So, I mean, we heard Brian's point of view, and that's his point of view, but some people might agree, some people don't, but that's why we bring it to a town meeting so we have more voice. I would hate to have it so restricted that it comes back to the Board of Selectmen that we might not move it forward because of that restriction. That's all.
I feel like you're saying you're gonna do the thing in the restriction, no matter, don't worry about it, it'll be fine.
I'm
But
not
then you're
that at
saying you
all.
don't want the restriction because it might, I'm not debating whether it should go to town meeting. It should absolutely go to town meeting. I'm just saying, I don't see that as not my responsibility as a Board of Finance member. Like, when we look at dollars that come across, we have always taken into consideration the entire, like, point of the appropriation. So it's not just, otherwise you just say, hey, I want $5,000. And I'd be like, oh, looks like we have $5,000 in the account. Here you go. Right? So you have to take it into consideration.
But in this particular case, there's an ordinance that was voted on by the town that added the piece that it's consistent with the ordinance to give a donation to a nonprofit to purchase land in town. So if it wasn't in the ordinance, it'd be different because now we're going to create that. But
It's totally fine. I'm not going to belabor it. I'm just giving my position.
I understand.
When it comes time for a vote, I'm going to vote to send it to the townspeople. But when it comes to a town meeting, Bob, I'm going to want to know what restrictions are on it, and more importantly, who's it enforceable by? So when you put a deed restriction on, there's an entity that acts as the police to make sure that never gets violated. Now, it needs to be an entity that's longstanding, is going to be there no matter what. So that's on you guys to figure out.
And I
Let's rock.
agree, and it may be that at that Board of Selectmen meeting, Avalon says, you know what? No, we're not dealing with this. So forget the 75,000, we'll just buy it on our own, do what we want to do. And that could happen too.
Yep.
So leave it to the Board of Selectmen to do our job and bring it to a town meeting with those kind of things ironed out. And if you don't hear what you like as a taxpayer, not a Board of Finance, as a taxpayer, you can vote against it. But I think that there may be a point, and if it gets to that point where Avalonia says, okay, forget it, we're just going to move forward with our own money, and that's fine too. I just don't know if I would like the Board of Finance to restrict the Board of Selectmen at this point with that additional piece to the motion, that's all.
So I'm understanding what they said was that can we afford it? But I'm also with Sarah and Gary that I think there should be restrictions on it for the other taxpayers that are not here to discuss it. So it will go forward to you from me, but I will be there to listen to the other, to your meetings.
I just don't want to put this, I don't want to put the restrictions on the wrong people right now. I think by putting that amended motion forward, we're putting the restrictions more on the selectmen than we're actually doing to Avalonia right now. So I think we need to get to the right spot.
I trust it. So I trust the selectmen to put together a package that is presented to the town meeting, will cover the bases and would be approved. Ultimately, I think this is a great thing for the town to have that done. We should work to make it happen.
I'm in agreement as well. So, and you can take this if you guys find this language appropriate. You can take what I'm writing. Yeah, I'm going to. Make a motion to authorize the use of funds from the Land Acquisition Fund to donate $75,000 to Avalonia Land Conservancy for the purchase of 51 Babcock Road and move this motion back to the Board of Selectmen.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed? Motion carries 5-1. That's my motion. Dan seconds. Sorry to take your thunder, Lou. Just withdraw your motion.
I withdraw my previous motion.
Okay, we're going to move on to agenda item number 6, which is a brief review of the Board of Selectmen financials. We were provided those several weeks ago. That's closed out through the month of July, which is the very first month in the fiscal year. So just give us a brief overview, please.
So
Bob.
just say that we already reviewed the last year, so we're good with that. As far as July, it's the first month in. I have to approve 95% of all the expenditures that come through my desk. I have to sign off on. There's a few that come through that either rec signs off on or a different board signs off on, but senior center signs off on their own. I sign off on most. When I do that, I take the current P&L and see where we are. And I have a good feeling where we are in terms of how much money is it left in the till before I put a check out to be approved. So early in the process, there's nothing jumping out at me. I will tell you that tax refunds is way over where we budgeted because we budget 0. So as soon as we give our first tax refund, we're already over because we can't budget tax refunds. It's against some statute somewhere. Maybe Sean knows as the treasurer, but we can't budget for tax refunds because we have to assume we're going to get all our taxes. But with that said, nothing else is trending crazy. You'll see that a lot of times things have to be spent early on, like insurances have to be paid. Almost all the 501c3s ask for the money early on, those that remember to ask us. We don't give money unless somebody asks us. So I'm planning, like the neighborhood has to send me a letter saying, thank you for approving our funds in the budget. Will you please send us a check? I've got most of those, not all. So we end up sending a lot of money out in the first couple of months because of that, because it's a new budget. But then things slow down. So we pay the first, say, semester of a lot of things like insurances and things like that, and most 501c3s. But there's nothing jumping out at me right now that says, oh my God, we didn't budget enough because we're only 1 month in, at least as far as reconciliation. You know, so we'll be as Sean mentioned, Melissa's on top of this. We'll be getting between the 10th, 12th of the month, each month, which was not always like that. You'll be getting a P&L and you'll see where we stand. And the minute I see that something isn't trending well, then, you know, that's when we have to talk about it. Like, why are we overspending this line? Well, so Sean knows when to buy them because we're not buying a lot now because we're between. But when we start getting all that money rolling in January, he'll be out shopping again, I'm sure. Well, he won't be because he won't be here, unfortunately, but somebody will be shopping. So that's a brief overview, Mike. I think it's almost like too soon to tell. But if when you look at them, there's something that jumps out with you, I'll be glad to try to answer that for you.
No, I think we're good. We're early in the season. We know that some gets paid up front, and most of this stuff is going to be whatever, 1/12 of expenditures done. So I think we're in good shape.
I will say that the tax collector is already fairly well above 50%, which is good. So, you know, you always think, you know, the first half of the tax year, you get 50%, you get 50%. So because we collected some old monies, and also we're looking to do another tax sale sometime in early January. So if we do that, that will be taking in some additional old tax money because we'll be selling properties that owe us taxes on it. So we hadn't done any in years. We did one last year. We'll be doing another one in January. So we're in good shape on that side. That's it.
Okay. Any other questions from the board? Thank you, Bob. On to agenda item number 7, review of minutes. We have some. Winona's first. Winona said some stuff from the minutes for August 6, 2025. And some make a motion. I wasn't there, so.
Make a motion to approve meeting minutes from 8/6/2025 as written.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those favors say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I will abstain as I was absent. 2 abstentions. Sarah and 402. Amy's,
This is a tri-board. Oh,
You want
another
to-
one. Oh, there's another one.
you want the other one? Amy's from. Okay, so on tri-board, it's just amended. There was someone missing from the roll call.
Yep.
So I move to approve those amended tri-board meeting minutes. A second,
Second.
any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Wasn't there.
Gary abstains.
Make a motion to approve meeting minutes from 9/17/2025 as written.
Give me a second. Second by Lou. Any discussion?
You weren't on that one.
Yeah, I know. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? I gotta abstain again. 2 meetings in 2 years I missed. You weren't there either. So 4-2, 4-0-2.
402.
Any further minutes? We're all good, right? Okay. On to public comment. Carl, do you owe me minutes from something?
I do. I got
Okay. You know what meeting that was?
Right. Yeah.
From June? Maybe you can talk to Antoinette and find out exact date and see if you have it in your notes. Okay, public comment. Brian, you got 2 minutes.
I'm gonna bring my timer next time. No, basically, my only comment is, oh, it ain't on?
It's on.
Well, oh, yeah, okay, yeah, yeah, I know. They don't care about your people. I'm just a little amazed that, I understand why you send it forward, but I believe the people in town are gonna look at it as Board of Selectmen sent it. Board of Finance approved it. They're not gonna look at why you approved it, they're just gonna say, oh, those two boards, Senate, town meeting, Conservation Commission, oh, yeah, of course. But nothing was mentioned really about the financial aspect of this, or how much Avalonia is putting of their own money into it. I believe they were only gonna put $25,000, if I remember right. And they want us to put 75,000. I find that kind of strange. Of course, Connecticut, they got all kinds of extra money. They're gonna put the biggest in there. So anyways, I know everybody says, oh, it's only Brian's personal opinion, which it is. But I'm basing my opinion on some facts. And I didn't hear any of those facts come out tonight. So now we gotta fight it out at a town meeting. Or if we can convince the Board of Selectmen not to send it to a town meeting, which I believe they will. It just disappoints me that all that didn't come out during this conversation before the vote was made. But anyways, I guess that's, and the actual land acquisition fund and why it was set up. It is in our ordinances. It doesn't say the town has to own the land, I see that. And if you want to look it up, it's section 2-101, section 2-103. And before it goes any farther, but I imagine I'll be at the selectmen's meeting too. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Anyone else in the room? Anyone else online? Raise your hand. Seeing none, motion to adjourn.
Motion adjourned.
That's Dan. Second?
Second.
Lou? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? 8:33.